shouldn't have to have an email address for long term.
Yeah, you shouldn't need one. You should be able to go to, we're testing it right now. You should be able to go to the link and, is it asking you for anything else?
Link for where?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, it's on the Facebook.
do you know where our Estacada community watch Facebook?
No. So go there.
Yeah. Go to Estacada community watch.
Yeah, really, you can hear me up there. Hi. Also, in the true Estacada fashion, there is usually a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, she's on our
I wish there was an easy way to get that information.
I know.
There really isn't. And then the,
anytime.
oh, yeah, you go to the Estacada Community Watch Facebook page. And then go to the events, which is. Looks different, I was calling, but I think that, oh, you gotta say, you know, you search the direction.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's showing you.
Gotta be, you gotta have something that done.
Yeah, there you go. Keep looking at the top one there. And then when we find the description.
Oh, so you have to let me do. That's fine. I know what my need. That's somewhere out.
That's what I have to hear, that's usually what we're doing. The agenda is basically watching.
Yeah, and then, skin again.
That's what people are talking, they see on that screen.
No, that's just the church's screen here.
Okay, show me.
That's why I did this, I didn't think.
Yeah, that would have been a great idea, but I just didn't think that far. And actually, I'm 25 for each thing I do. To put that on the screen. No, I can think about that next time. Oh, people that are talking on here, we could put up on the screen. But
What, doing?
no, it's leave them there because only when they want to talk. I think.
I'm all.
Oh, so they can see and stuff.
Yeah, they can see everything.
Okay.
If they can see everything, it's fine. They can hear everything just fine.
They just can't.
They can't talk or do anything unless you let them. But they get to causing an issue, they'll cause an issue, come back out. And then they'll come in and then they just watch what they do. You might rather put in the chat and go to the hi, how's it going? Is John coming? Oh, there he is. You're fine. Does that hat talk to me? Yep. Oh, you turned your hat in. I think I sent them seeing you sort of hat in the ring so we can jump in there and see.
I like your shirt.
It's happy. Kids did it for Disneyland trip a couple years ago.
Aw,
Everybody had to wear the same shirt.
I like that.
Once we started saying, when we get Estacada minute, give me like 5 minutes extra. Usually that's how it works.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I still can't.
Oh, yeah. You have the two ones?
I don't know, they're pretty awesome looking, aren't they? Sure.
That time of year though.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Okay,
Getting healed up?
I wish. I'm waiting on an MRI right now, so I'm trying to we have it where if they're in Zoom, they can be in Zoom meeting, they can watch everything that's going on. They can't say or do anything unless they're in, and then they'll talk, and then if they have a copy, then they'll back out. We had to pay extra for it, but it was worth it.
Oh my God, they were killing it.
Yeah, we did, like we just, had $2,000.
Well, you guys are doing awesome, things right here.
I can't believe how the community's turned out, don't they?
So awesome.
I'm teaching the chainsaw class, one, couple of people brought in logs for me,
Oh, cool.
and I feel like the trouble, pick them up, we go up and bend them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, people, and Clyde was.
We really want our community to take care of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yes.
Donation, you can't believe, yeah.
That's so cool. I know, our newspaper isn't doing a very good job of reporting on things you guys are doing, but we are. We're talking about all this. And our, they're not gonna do it, we'll do it.
We don't really have a newspaper.
No, we haven't.
Not like we used to.
Yeah, it's hard.
Like I said, that's a kid, man. Okay.
I don't have to do anything.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is brand new equipment for us, so bear with us as I'm trying to make it nicer. All right, real quick, I'm just going to go real quick about kind of how things should be progressing here for the town hall. Let you guys know that you guys are going to be recorded. It is being shared through Zoom. It will be on YouTube. So if you're camera shy, there's a camera right here. If you're camera shy, please don't come up here because we will share this. So this is kind of your warning ahead of time. If you speak or anything, these things do pick you up, the microphones. This microphone picked Brandy up sitting over down there. So it is pretty sensitive. So just wanted to kind of give you guys heads up now. If I'll be all fair warned or whatever that saying is. Welcome to the Estacada Community Watch. We're going to do a quick little meeting for our members, and then we're going to jump right into the town hall. So just for the an update for those that are members, we just approved a new members kind of what was that called again? Code of conduct. That'll be posted on the website soon. We're going to be remaking the entire Estacada website, and the board has moved from doing monthly meetings to now quarterly meetings, which actually makes it faster for us to get things approved because we have approved to do it online, so we can move a little faster. We do have people in the office twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. Brandy, what are the hours for that? Tuesdays are 2 to 6. Thursdays are 10 to 2. This also goes for everybody online too as well. If you need to come in and talk to someone at the office, we have someone physically there. We do have resources there for if you need it. So we're around. We do have a phone coming as well, which will go to a 24-hour call tree. So that you can reach Estacada Community Watch 24 hours a day. And we're just kind of getting more organized little by little. So, yep, we are encouraging all our members to try to get actively involved at least a couple times a month, because to get everything well organized, it takes people's hands and minds and backs and everything else. So, okay. Other than that, that's the quick 5-minute update on the for members. Since the main focus here is the town hall, let's jump into that. Quick thing about the town hall is we don't have a physical sign-up sheet because people might want to speak from online. So we're just going to kind of like, if you want to speak, just raise your hand and tell them to stay seated, and we'll just kind of call you up one by one. Please try to be direct, be professional, be courteous. Means don't get up here and start swearing at the town because you don't agree with somebody. Please don't interrupt them while they're speaking so that they can have a fair chance just as much as you do. Yeah, the subject is to talk about changing the ordinances in Estacada for the current marijuana ordinances, restrict the use of having a dispensary in most of our city throughout the downtown and commercial areas. The ordinances are more restrictive than the current state levels, but the current ordinances do allow for a dispensary to be out in near the industrial area, and I think there's a spot that's just by River Mill Road off of the Eagle Creek Highway. Those are the two areas that kind of don't fall in the restriction area. So by all means, well, I'm just going to open right up. And then if I come up to speak later, I'm going to identify if I'm speaking as myself or if I'm speaking as an ECW member. As an ECW member, we do not have an opinion on this. We are just opening this up for you guys to speak, okay? So ECW does not take a position on this. I want to be very clear about that. We just want to give the chance for the community to speak and gather more intel for the council to make a decision. So, and also I am a city councilor, but I'm not here as a city councilor today. Is there any questions before we kick into the actual town hall meeting? Okay, who would like to speak first? Wow. Okay. Well, what's that? Okay, come on up if you want to be the first one to jump on and get going. Okay. Yeah.
I don't want to go up there.
I scared everybody off.
I like the way the ordinance is now. I don't want it in downtown. I don't think that little kids need to be walking by. Marijuana dispensary, personal opinion. I leave it where it is. Do not bring it into town.
Just so that's heard, we had someone that said to go ahead and leave it where it's at. She doesn't like it to be changed. She agrees that she doesn't want kids to be walking downtown and seeing a dispensary. Did I sum that up really quick? Okay. Yeah, come on up. Or
Where is it now? Is there one here now?
no, we do not have a dispensary. The closest dispensary, I believe, is over in Clackamas. So you can get Clackamas, Gresham, and Oregon City are the three closest locations to get to a dispensary. Yeah, Chalice Farms does deliver to the area. You can speak into the mic if you want.
There is Chalice Farms, they deliver, and there's another one, but I can't remember what they're called.
Actually, if someone does want to speak off camera, you can probably just come speak into the mic if you'd like to speak as well. So I forgot we have that one. So I'm assuming you guys came to not just sit and listen. Someone wanted to share something. So if you'd like to share something, by all means, off camera, you can come speak. Nobody? Oh, I scared him. There's two areas that are legal according to the city ordinances. That's out in the industrial area is not touched by the restrictions, and there's a patch that's out by the just off of the Eel Creek Highway by the river. I think it's River Mill Road in that area.
I agree with this woman, you know, as far as being in town now.
So your statement.
They have to be, but the important thing is, well, economic wise, I would think. If you do have one here, it keeps everybody here. I lived here 20 years and I do make a shipment going, not for marijuana, but just to go into town, get things, this and that. And a lot of people do just go to town for marijuana and this and that. If you eliminate just 2, 3, 5, 10%, they're gonna stay in town here economically. I think it's gonna be perfect, and I think that the whole question is, keep it in a place where everybody's happy. And I believe in that.
Okay, can I sum up what you said real quick and then I'll jump to you guys. All right, so what he was saying was he says by having something in town, it would keep people kind of shopping in town, keep people in town instead of having to go out to other places. But he does agree with not having it downtown area, but to maybe keep the ordinance where they are because they can still build one in the area. Am I summing that right?
I don't see where it should be out in the face of town or anything like that. But I do, there are locations, and I saw the map and everything like that.
Mhm.
It's pretty damn agreeable. So,
Okay.
I don't think that's gonna hurt anybody's feelings.
Okay. So you're saying that
I agree with this woman here. It doesn't need to be downtown.
okay, I'm just trying to sum it up so people online can get the same thing. So, because this is going to go to the city council. And so I'm summing back up just to make sure that they get it as well. So you're saying that you agree with her, it shouldn't be downtown, and that the areas you saw on the map were a pretty good compromise to people to have it. Okay. So, excellent. I know that you had a question. Did you want to come up and speak, or? Sir?
Oh,
If you want to come up, you're welcome to come
Mine
up.
was more of a question,
Okay.
just, the difference in between bars and dispensaries?
So the difference between a bar and dispensary is bars don't have to operate on a cash basis. Okay, I want to speak as not as a ECW member, but as a private citizen or as a citizen and a community member. So this is not the reflection of ECW. Okay, so a bar does not have to operate on a cash only basis because it's not federally recognized industry yet. So therefore, they don't have to keep large amounts of cash on hand. And so that right there is an issue, obviously, for safety. Second of all, bars, it's been shown that a bar versus a marijuana can be very pungent. You can smell it sometimes for blocks, even miles, depending on when you drive by Chalice Farms, you can smell it. And they're required to have an air evacuation source in every store, in every growth house and everything else. And anyone who's dealt with it should know that as well. So that's going to put the smell in our downtown core. So that's the second thing. Third thing is bars. It's pretty well. You can't exactly buy a drink in a bar, walk out and hand it to a kid real easy. Stores, you can do that with a bottle of beer possibly. It's a lot easier to walk in, buy something for a kid because they gave you $20 on the street, and walk out and hand them an edible or something like that. So that's the big difference, is the ease of access there. And while we do have a bar down here, a lot of the bars tend to have food with them as well. So they kind of attract more of like a food drink type of food and drink type of crowd. Whereas except for like later at night when families usually aren't here, during the day, families tend to go around, bars usually aren't as packed, and it's more of like get a bite to eat and maybe have a drink type of thing. So that's the difference that I've seen, my personal level. Okay, next one.
We actually own a dispensary out in Portland, and I just wanted to clarify that the areas that are already approved, as you were saying, would almost remain exclusively where you'd be capable of having a dispensary if you were to mimic the city of Portland, just because of the restrictions it has due to law enforcement areas and what's the word I'm thinking, the closeness to schools, proximity to the schools.
Okay, so just so I can.
So many schools out here.
Okay, so just so I can reverberate what you just said. You said that that you own a dispensary in Portland, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just to straight up, basically what I said there previous, because you're in the industry, was everything I said true and accurate then?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I wasn't off on somewhere since we have an expert in the room. Second piece, so you're saying that if based upon what Portland's laws are, we're kind of close with our current ordinances, where the restrictions will still come out the same.
Yes,
Okay.
You're not allowed to be within 1,000 feet of any school facility or law enforcement jurisdiction or law enforcement.
Mostly like churches, schools, anything with children.
Yep, basically it's, I think in the city of Estacada, and I didn't memorize them, and I can pull them up to read them exactly, and I probably will do that in a minute once I get someone else to walk up here. Or Brandy, if you want to pull them up on the city website, I'm sure I think it mentions it under the off the right of the main city website there. You can read them real quick for us. But the current ordinances are, I think they're restricted around churches, schools, parks. I think there has to do something along with I think medical facilities might be one of the things in there, but I could be wrong about that one. But yeah, I'll have her read it so we can get exactly what those are, and there's no misunderstanding on that as well. I believe there might even be a map on there. If we can pull it up on the computer, Brandy, you might even be able to share that into them with a map. So, well, when we swap, I'll pull it up. Did you want to come up, or did you want to?
I just got a question.
No one wants to come up.
I'll probably come up later. But, I have a question regarding the survey that the city council did. Does anybody know what the feedback to those questions on the survey were, or were the results, or when?
We haven't given the results yet on the city council. I was told it's for online, it's 2-1 for, and mail, the mail-in ballots are 2-1 against. So the online one, they say it's restricted to just Estacada area, but I haven't seen the results to show me that. So I don't have a solid answer to that. And that's just the words that we were given by the city manager during our last council meeting. Hopefully we'll have that information maybe by the next one. But it sounds like we probably won't, I have a feeling we won't be doing anything with it as a city council until after the town hall meeting, which is next month. So there's probably more time. They might keep it open. I don't know on those answers. So I'm trying not to speak as a city council though, if I can. So. Mainly because that's what the other one's going to be for me to speak as a city councilor there. So. More questions or anybody else? Anybody want to come up? I don't want them to think I'm making this up. There's actually people here. There really is. And I don't know do we have people online, anyone raising their hand, Brandy, online that wants to speak?
No.
Okay.
You're shy.
Or you're shy? Yeah, if you don't want to be on camera, you can also take the. All right.
Okay. Take this down. Hi, my name's Don Morse. I'm a resident of Estacada. And I brought with me some facts today. You know, I am for the legalization of cannabis. And I feel that a lot of people have misinformation or prejudices that really are not founded in fact. So like I said, I brought a few statistics with me here today because I don't feel that adding a dispensary to our community is going to be its demise. As a matter of fact, if you take the community of Sandy, Oregon, they have a population of 10,500. Estacada has 3,100, according to what I found online. Sandy has fewer violent crimes and about half of the property crimes that Estacada does. And they have a dispensary and you do not. So in terms of saying that somehow this is going to increase crime or whatever, it just isn't true. There were 52 bank robberies in Oregon in 2019. There are 281 liquor stores in the state of Oregon. In a 5-month period, those liquor stores experienced 1,051 incidences of theft or burglaries. On the other hand, there are almost 2.5 times as many marijuana dispensaries, 620. And in a 1-year period, they experienced half that number of robberies and whatnot. And we can attribute that mostly to the amount of security that dispensaries are required to have. There are cameras outside, cameras inside. It is very much like a bank, which is why there are far fewer robberies than there are at liquor stores. There are a number of other things that, you know, I believe you said about handoffs to children and whatnot. You know, even if it was down in the industrial area, there's nothing to prevent a 14-year-old from riding their bike down there and engaging in that behavior. We feel that the reason it's zoned in the industrial area right now is you want it kind of out of sight, out of mind. But the fact of the matter is it's a retail business just like any other. It needs visibility. It needs ease for people to get to. They don't necessarily want to drive a couple miles more down the road and into an industrial park day or night to conduct legal business. And the reason in the number of years that it's been legal that no one's gone out there is because it's a bad business deal. No one's going to do it. It's like putting a McDonald's out there. Who would go to McDonald's out in that industrial area? So, you know, these are just some of the things. Marijuana legalization brings down crime rates by up to 19%. Violent crimes fell 13% in states along the Mexican border, although, you know, we're not there. But there's lots of other information. The Reason Foundation, and I'll quote some things from them because they are very well annotated with where their information comes from, says in Washington State, which legalized marijuana for recreational use in 2013, the number of low-level court filings for marijuana fell by 98%. The number of adults over 21 cited for misdemeanor possession fell from 297 to 0. In Colorado, it was the same situation. Similar declines and changes in convictions were seen in jurisdictions that subsequently legalized recreational cannabis, including Oregon, Alaska, and Washington. They found that Medicare prescriptions for the drugs, treatment of ailments, including pain, depression, and anxiety, were significantly lower. One of those papers found that legalization of marijuana for recreational use had an even stronger effect. Surveys in Michigan and California found significant reductions in the use of opiates for pain management following the introduction of legalized cannabis. And that's because people would rather use that than pop pills. Effects on property crime. Concerns have been raised about the possibility that legalizing marijuana retailers might result in an increase in property crime in their neighborhoods. However, studies generally found no increase in property crime around medical marijuana dispensaries. And this just goes on. And I'm fairly well versed in marijuana dispensaries and what they have the possibility of doing for the community, which is bringing in much needed tax revenue for this city to achieve its goals. And, you can look in Portland and anywhere else, it has not proven to be the boogeyman that people once prophesied that it would be. We could get into addiction rates and all sorts of things like that, but really anything that's legal, be marijuana, opiates, liquor, gambling, there are always going to be someone who's going to take that to the extreme. You can't protect people from themselves by not allowing a legal business to be in your town. And that's just my opinion, but I think it's something everyone should think about.
Do you mind if I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I did some research and I couldn't find a dispensary in Sandy. Do you know where that's located?
Yes. Where is it? My phone's there. There is one in Sandy, one. There's also one in Damascus, one in Boring. All the small communities seem to have one going for it, but I would be happy to, it's on my phone, but I'll get it for you.
Thank you.
Any other?
I too have no problem with marijuana. My question is, isn't it already legal?
Right, but
Yeah.
there's no access to it for the people in Estacada. They have to go to Oregon City or another
But from
town.
downtown, you've got a church here, you've got a little kids dance studio right over there. I mean, I wouldn't even care if it's next to a liquor store, but not right on Broadway.
Well, I don't think anyone's saying right on Broadway, but
Well, or Main. There's a park.
But, it's, you keep talking. I mean, we don't want to.
well, I'm happy to answer any questions. I mean, I could go on and read these documents, but I think I've made my point.
You're also welcome to, and at the town hall event, you're welcome to post links, anything you want in there in the discussion.
Okay.
It's open for that. So by all means,
Sure.
when you get it back onto your computer and you have access to all that, post the links to everything you got. And especially if there's one in Sandy, because I also wasn't able to find one in there. And last I spoke with the city council and the mayor of Sandy, that they actually have a law in place, the ordinance that doesn't allow it to be in the city limits of Sandy. So that's why we fall into the case that we don't know there should be one in the city, at least not in the city limits. The city limits restrict it from being a dispensary.
All right, city limits, when I looked up this evening before I came here online, it just listed the address as Sandy, Oregon, and as well as all the others as Boring and whatnot. It listed town.
It might be outside the city limits. It might be what its ability to do that is. And
Okay.
so, yeah, because during the what that was is Sandy when it first became legal, there was a option for towns to actually opt
Right.
out, and they gave them I think it was a 10-year sunset clause. It's coming up in a couple of years for a vote again, but that actually they chose to make it illegal to put one in the city limits.
So, and then they'll see what they're gonna do when it comes up for the sunset clause here soon. But yeah, just to kind of let you know what that is. So it's probably sitting right outside the city limits, I would suspect.
Okay, well, I'll give you the name of the one that is there.
Please do, please do. And I'd love to have you posted in the discussion under the event so everybody else can see it too.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions before I get down? No? All right, thank you.
Oh, yeah, let me just check and see Zoom here. And then I did find those rules, so.
Oh,
Yeah, I wanted to read those real quick. So just so, I'm going to read them from the seat here, then I'll come up there on the camera again because I can't take it with me. So the current one is in the general commerce C1 and highway commercial zones, but only with, sorry, let me refer. Estacada allows marijuana dispensaries that comply within the following restrictions. In the general commerce C1 and highway commercial zones, but only with the conditional use approval by the Planning Commission. A minimal of 1,000 feet from another marijuana retailer, a minimum of 1,000 feet from the public or private preschool, elementary, junior high, high school, college, or university, a minimum of 1,000 feet from a public park excluding the timber park, a minimum of 1,000 feet from a sports field, a minimum of 1,000 feet from a church, and a minimum of 1,000 feet from any other place where children congregate regularly. And there is a map here, and I'm going to share that into the Zoom meeting for everybody to see. Okay, so let's see if I can do this real
is
quick.
there a way we can have everyone here see it?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna, you guys, if the best way for you to do is if you want to see it, you got to come up here because I have no way to make it bigger for you guys. But at least online it's here. So the areas with they're in the blue here, this is a 1,000-foot buffer and it kind of shows the what's restricted here. So it can't be in the residential zones. And so you have an area like right in this area here. And anywhere, oh, it shows here, anywhere marijuana retail may currently be allowed is these red looking things. And this is basically this big old spot right here. So, and that's all along the highway where it's a very public access here too. So, okay, I just wanted to get that across. Now I'm going to switch back over and stop sharing. And I'll head back up to the top. All right. Anyone else have questions or would like to speak? Cricket. Everybody has grown like chicken today. Is there anybody who wants to speak from their chair, and I'll reiterate what they have to say. So, Mike.
They're everywhere. There's plenty in Gresham. I know there's not one directly downtown Estacada. I get it, but there's so many. If you really got to have it, get your little car, your little bicycle, just go to Sandy or whatever. Or in the industrial area. It's really. I agree that it could potentially change the vibe. I appreciate what you're saying that you don't agree that it could, whatever. I think that it's okay to keep it out of the downtown area. I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, and
that's just my opinion. So.
And again, as a community member, and what he was just saying was that he basically agrees that not having it in the downtown is a big thing, and that having it out in the industrial area is a good option. And there's plenty of other options in Gresham and other cities. Did I sum that up right? Yeah. Okay.
And I don't disagree. I've used marijuana for my back. I used to take Vicodin, and every now and then I have some marijuana, and it has helped me. So I'm not disagreeing that it can't help you, but I just don't think.
And basically what you're saying is that you've used it before and it's for your back. You're not disagreeing that it has a good use. You just don't see it as going downtown because you could change the vibe.
That's
okay. I saw some hands go up in the back there. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to come up and speak or did you? Okay, come on up.
Did you know we had one like that?
Yes, I do. I asked for marijuana dispensaries and that came up.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, that's
But
good.
that's was based, that's what I found, so.
Thank you.
That's looking for the rest.
Good evening. My name is Kim Trujillo. I am the proud owner of a farm called High Ridge Farms, just outside of the city of Estacada, over near the Viewpoint, right off of Springwater Road. I inherited that business, and my 9-year anniversary was just on March 26th. So my husband had a vision. He was a patient. He had cancer. He grew his own medicine. We had, obviously at that time, patients that we cared for. I feel that recreation is a far cry from the medical days, and I feel that injustice has been done to the patients by not necessarily legalizing and making it available to everybody, but not being able to provide patients free medicine, which is what we used to do. That is where my heart is and what I love to do. Unfortunately, my husband passed away in 2012, and I've been running the business ever since then. We have, not just us, but as an industry, gone from the dark into the light. My life in my business can't be more transparent, and I welcome anybody to come visit. I have an open door policy. I think that if you actually saw what we do and how hard we work and how regulated it is, and my little place has 41 cameras. We are watched 24/7. If I'm harvesting plants, I have to tell the computer when I've harvested, how much each plant weighs. Everything about the seed to sale is tracked. Besides that, anytime I make a delivery, there is a transport manifest with my license plate, my driver's license, my OLCC license number, turn-by-turn directions to where it is that I'm going, each package, what it is, how much is in each package, and a specific amount of time that it takes to get from my farm to whatever dispensary I'm taking my product to, or material to go to processing. It's very detailed. Once I have to sign that I'm transporting unless somebody else is. And then they also have the turn-by-turn directions, and on the other end, accept or reject these packages and also have to sign. Immediately, you turn around and you go back to your farm and redispense your unsold product into the system, whereby having to accept those rejected packages. So there is no time for there to be an incidental something or another to go wrong. And if you don't think that we're being watched, I can give you many examples. I can show you paperwork of OLCC checking on packages, or you didn't do turn-by-turn specific enough directions in my early days. We have a big brother. Those of us in the licensed business actually appreciate having a big brother. It's expensive. It's a high bar. I also am on a committee with Oregon Health Authority, both rules advisory, and then that changes to work groups that has to do with testing. And there's going to be changes that are going to be coming up on testing. Besides testing being expensive, it's going to get much more challenging. And so there's always, our business and industry is always evolving. So those of us who are the growers have to be on our game and have to be continually improving. The vast majority of where this industry was and how it is now, I think, is day and night. I hope you guys can see that, even if you're not a fan of cannabis. I hope that you can see it. But because I've lived in again, not city of Estacada, but city, I do business here. My kids graduated school here. I've been living in at my place on my farm for going into 14 years. I've had to, manage teenagers and marijuana at the same address. And it's not difficult because it's separate. It's a business. It's fenced off. There's nobody that's allowed to go down there. And if anybody did, there's cameras and there's sensors, and my phone is on vibrate because it'll be dinging because there's always something going on. Besides me being a resident of Estacada, doing business in Estacada, friends and family in Estacada, I firmly believe that we need to be able to take care of our community. And one of the biggest ways that I can do that as a business is to have a dispensary in Estacada proper to bring the tax dollars here. Even if nobody in this room supported that business, there's enough people that are in the outlying areas that would bring their money and dollars spent in our town where we could actually do something with that money. The other thing is that we proudly live in Clackamas County. We are the third largest producing county of cannabis in Oregon, third to Jackson and Josephine, which are obviously southern counties. So we are the heart of the Tri-County growing. It's everywhere around us. So to be able to also have a dispensary in town and those farms be able to have a place to bring their product closer to home, it's more sustainable. Besides growing marijuana, I grow vegetables. And so part of growing food is that you want to be as close to your food and distribute it, like eat it as fresh as possible. We don't want to ship it 3 states away. We want to be able to send it off to market close to home, and hopefully the community is actually eating that food that we're growing here. The same thing is true of the flower that we grow. So I'll leave it at that. That's my soapbox. I'll just finish with this. One of the bad reasons about putting it outside of town, and it's just prohibitively costly. I've dealt with the county, the city, the state on many levels, and licenses and all the paperwork you need to actually do this business. And if I started to try to do something out there today, it wouldn't even break ground for a year, and it would be out of business before it started because it's just too expensive. While in town, again, I agree with everybody here, like we don't want it in our where we are all the time, but there's no reason why it can't be down over by the liquor store, somewhere close by, but not where the kids are going to be seeing it, or that it has to be in our face for those of us who don't want to see it. Because agreed, there's people that don't want that in their face. They don't want to drive by. So I think that if the only option for Estacada is going to be out in the industrial center, then I think that we're just missing out on the tax dollars that could be spent in our town. And along with that, like it or don't, agritourism is a big thing. Not that we want Estacada to be known for growing cannabis. Clackamas County is known for growing cannabis. And eventually there is going to be a descheduling of marijuana on a federal level. And I promise you we'll go on the map as being one of the biggest exporters of cannabis. And that's in the very near future. It's the safe banking bill is at the federal Senate as we speak. So before long, banking isn't going to be a problem either. So with that, I appreciate your guys' time. I respect your opinion. I hope that if you have any questions or whatever, like to visit my farm, I have a business card with my phone number on it. I'd be happy to give it to you and welcome you with open arms anytime. That's it.
Hi, so my name is Chrissy Merritt. I come to everybody. I have family members that use marijuana medically. We go out of town to buy for my family members. We've had it delivered. Chalice Farms over in Happy Valley has delivered to us. I don't find it 100% necessary for a dispensary to come to our downtown core. I really don't. My mother, she is a 4-year survivor of invasive ductal carcinoma, HER2 positive, which is a very aggressive breast cancer. My mother got to the point where she couldn't hold her head up. She couldn't do anything. I started giving my mom cannabis. She didn't lose any weight, but without that, I don't think she could have survived as well as she did. That being said, even over by the liquor store, we have Subway. Where do our kids go get their sub sandwiches? Subway. Where do our kids go to buy tacos? Pepe's, which is literally right there. Even over at the liquor store, it is going to be in our children's faces. I'm not a mom, but I wouldn't want any of my nieces or nephews to have it right there in front of them. The industrial park is a perfect area for a dispensary. Yes, it will cost a lot of money, but if somebody is willing to break ground and use that land for that purpose, I think that's the best place for us to go. I'm not against marijuana, obviously, but I'm against it in our kids' faces. Our kids already struggle every day, whether it's bullying, other children who are already smoking and using marijuana products, getting our younger generation to use them. That's not something we want to keep in front of our kids. It's really not. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Let me clarify, I'm not against marijuana, if you look at our downtown area, every place in our downtown area has residents. They're building more residents where next door to the True Value. We have more houses. I just don't want it around, I don't want to encourage kids more. I agree, medical marijuana is great for a lot of people, and I have no problem with that. And if you want to use it as a leisurely thing, I don't care. Just don't want it downtown.
Yeah.
All right, so stepping into my my personal hat, make sure I clarify that. I'm not here as ECW member or city council member or any other boxes and hats that I hold. So by the way, thank you for that. That was some really good information you shared with us regarding the, so just to confirm, you own the farm that's out there kind of by 211 and 224? I think she knows I'm talking to her. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to make sure I know which one I'm thinking of the same one. Okay, cool. So one thing that you had mentioned was that putting a dispensary in the industrial area would be prohibitively expensive. If you had to build a building, yes. If there's a building open, it's no different than leasing another building. I want to, in my opinion, it's not in the county area there. That's still city. So it wouldn't be any different than downtown, by all means.
So I actually looked out there. I have the one that's out of town and to the left, where there's already existing, they have them parceled.
Yeah, the one that's a little ways out, yeah.
Almost all of the spaces, when I looked a couple years ago, have been sold. The nice thing is that the utilities do exist. They're lots that the utilities are stubbed up. But the minimum asking price for a lot is $250,000. And there's additional taxes because the builder is you're just buying it as is, and then you have to pay the property tax on it as well. So that's a separate cost. I've done a couple of building projects in the 9 years that I've inherited my business, and I can't explain to you, although my electrician is present, he could, how costly doing something like that is, and as well as it's not just doing the construction, but as was mentioned, you have to do the odor control, and these mechanical pieces of equipment are in the tens of thousands of dollars. It's not the structure that's expensive.
Yeah, it's the equipment, the lighting and everything else, the actual installations of it, exactly. Yeah, I get that. And so what I'm referring to is you had mentioned that building outside the city and the county would be expensive. So if you had to build something on the county, I get that. That changes up everything. So what I was referring to is they are building buildings out there and then some are being leased. So if a building was to come available out there for a lease or something, or I think it also allows a little closer just on the far side. I think those buildings also on the far side of Timber Park are also part of that opened area as well. But
So another obstacle, and I'm trying to be fair.
yeah, we're having a conversation at this point here so we can get all this out there because these are questions people have.
So I've tried to open many dispensaries in different parts of town, and besides there being already a lot of them, one of the things that it can't be encumbered by a regular bank. It has to be owned outright, or the owner has to, you have to pay have an owner carry property. So if you just go see, one of the commercial advertisements, unless I go buy that, I can't mortgage it. I can't go get a bank loan and buy the piece of property and just pay a mortgage. I have to buy it outright.
Can I bring the mic to you so people can make sure they're hearing this? I just want to make sure this is good information because it's going to answer people's questions. That's fine. Maybe if you want to do that, because I don't know what's going on. It'll be fun to clean up later. We'll careful. This won't share a mic.
Sorry, I'm back. You have to deal with me one more time. I agree that out of town might be the best ideal situation for not only the town, but everybody. But what I was bringing up is besides the prohibitive cost of the actual lot, building the building isn't like terribly expensive, but all of the equipment and having to do with odor control and other systems that are required, they're not optional, run into the tens of thousands of dollars. But one of the other things is that you have to own the property outright. I can't go buy a piece of property for $230,000 and go build a building for another $500,000. I have to have all of that money up front because I can't go get a bank loan. It's not allowed because of it being cannabis.
Okay, so my question to you is does the owner, like if you leased it from them, do they have to have the same deal where they have to own it outright?
Yes, they have to own it
So
outright.
that would have to be the same thing here in town.
Yes. And so the only property that would even be open, even if there wasn't the 1,000-foot rules, I'm not talking about schools, but like, let's say you if you loosen the rules on, let's say, parks and churches, the property that would be then available would have to, it couldn't be a mortgage like through Chase or Bank of America. It would have to be owned by the property owner, because otherwise that loan could get recalled if they knew it was cannabis.
Just to be clear, have you identified a property in the city of Estacada that falls in it? What property?
I'm sorry.
What's the property?
I'm not going to tell you.
Not gonna tell us.
I'm on Zoom. I'm a poker player. No, I can't tell you that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that.
No, it's in town, but I'm not obtrusive, because again, I want to be dignified and respectful of the community. I live here too.
Would you be at some point willing to release that
Yes.
to maybe the council in a private session or
Yes.
something? So
And I
that,
would also want to make sure that.
or write it in a letter or something like that as
Yeah,
well.
and I would want to make sure it's okay with the property owner too.
Yeah, I get that. Because the more that we can deliver to the city council,
Yeah.
the better it is for them to make a decision what they can and can't do. And that's all this is trying to gather information to help everybody make a decision.
Yeah, I
So.
agree. And I respect that. And thank you. Oh, sure. Sure. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. I concur. I don't want to, I love our little town and I want to keep it like wholesome and like positive, right? But at the same time, serve our community and most importantly, I would like to see our community grow. I would like to, like, why do we want to give Chalice and all these other people money? Like, yes, I like them, right? I don't have anything against my colleagues in business, except that money spent in Happy Valley isn't going to work for Estacada. And this is where I live. And this is the community that I want to support. And since I've been running the one part of it, or the most important part, in my opinion, it just makes sense to branch out and also offer. And again, you know, my friends who are the lifted crew would love to have them, you know, in town. This is the epitome of professionalism. There's many others too that are amazing. People that I've had the privilege to be selling product to literally for 9 years at a dispensary, if you can believe that. The dispensaries, they might not have been legal at the time, but they were open and operational. They weren't getting busted. And we, you know, we do hear from time to time something that bad that happens, but it's not like anywhere near what we thought it could be. And on the other hand, we are an essential business. Go cannabis. I have to laugh at that so hard.
I have a question.
You couldn't get your hair done, but you could go and buy alcohol and
That's true.
That was wrong. That was wrong.
I agree 100%. But thank you, Governor Brown, for making me essential.
No, they don't make sense though.
But it's because of the tax dollars our industry brings in.
Randy, you got a question?
Yeah, what's your, what do you need for square footage for a dispensary? What's a legal thing?
Well, because of COVID, no matter what the footprint of the space is you can't have more than, I think, 5 to 10 people, depending on your space in the building at the same time.
What's
Ben?
that? 1,800 square feet? That's
Wow.
Display case, everything, counters,
And
back room.
Well, a large majority of it is your controlled area, so you have to have a separate back area for the employees, you have to have a safe room that stores all the cannabis, so that the cannabis doesn't remain on the shelves at nighttime or during closed hours. It's actually locked up inside a secured safe room that has steel doors.
so there has to be enough room for whatever product are going to be on the shelf, that it has to actually be stored overnight in a safe, like imagine a gun safe. And there's multiple ones, you know, side by side.
Randy has a question here.
You might not want to answer this. Are you the only one looking to build a dispensary in our town?
I advocated for it. I would never think that I could do a dispensary on my own, because I never have. And there are so many wonderful people who've gone before me that I would want to collaborate with somebody else that I have come to know, like, trust, respect. And that's the only type of business that I would bring to my home, meaning like my home of Estacada.
The reason I ask is because you seem to be very respectful of what everyone's kind of saying, and you kind of have similar boundaries as far as you don't want it in the downtown core as well. But what worries me is, what if the restrictions are loosened and then somebody comes in that's not as respectful?
Well, the city council, and this has been done in other towns, like entities, I should say, because the city council can make any rule that they want or any ordinance that they want. They can say, well, we're gonna make it 500 feet from churches or parks, for example, or we're not gonna even include churches or parks anymore in that. Or they can say, we're only gonna have one, and it's going to be given up by lottery, or you're going to have to meet a certain criteria to do it. I don't know, like that's up to the city council. I don't think that we should have 5 dispensaries in Estacada, but I can tell you I serve a dispensary in Monmouth. And while they are a college town, they are a small, less than 4,000 population community, and they have 4 or 5, and they are all surviving. And I'm telling you, that's good for Monmouth because they've revamped their whole community based on just the tax dollars that are spent at those stores. Do I want that? No, but could it happen? Sure. If a property owner says, if it meets the map criteria and somebody could find real estate that the landlord would be open to leasing, then, that could happen.
I think a lot of things that worry Estacada. Has anyone been to Lincoln City recently besides me?
I just came home from Seaside today.
Have you noticed there's like 25 dispensaries like on one road? It's crazy. So I think that's probably what we're thinking too. But you seem super like open to compromise and stuff, and I think that's great. I just worry that others might not be. So that's just my personal opinion, but it makes sense.
I would love to be the owner of the dispensary and serve my community, but I'm not so close-minded or there's just, I've never done it. And so I would have to learn. And there's just so many other people that have, like, they just know it like I know farming. And I would have to ask one of them to help me do that. Ben. Yes. You guys, love you guys.
So my question is, obviously I'm not against having a dispensary. My question is would you collaborate with somebody else that already is in our vicinity? Because I wouldn't want somebody from Portland coming in with different ideas, and that's another big concern. And I think for a lot of us, that's a huge concern is, okay, we get somebody from, Portland or Beaverton or wherever that don't have the best interest of our town at heart.
The reason I asked Amanda and Ben to join us is because not only do I love them and honor them with the professional businesses that they run, multiple business licenses, but Amanda graduated school in Estacada. So she's a homegirl.
Both of my step-grandparents coached and taught at Estacada High School. The Styles, Dick Styles and Marty Styles.
So she's more homegirl than I am. I've only been here 14 years.
Did you want to speak on?
Sure. Thank you for sharing.
You want to come over, we can hear you.
Don't be
You're far enough back, I don't know if I can pick you up.
Oh, okay. Sir. Never been camera.
Come on up here, tell
Oh,
me.
you can be off camera.
Okay.
Don't go up there. You go.
Come on.
She wanted to escape.
No, you stay right there.
You want to go off camera?
Sure. No. I'm good.
There's a mic right here.
Okay. It's funny that. But I normally don't speak at meetings. I save my meetings for one-on-one conversation because that's what I do. I'm a therapist in the area, and I've been for 4 years in this awesome town, which has embraced the counseling services that we provide through Still Waters. And I too can resonate. I love what you said. But I can resonate with the town's concern when it comes to kids, as that is the population that I serve. Although the addiction that I serve is alcohol abuse as well as cannabis abuse and other abuses. You can't police that. But on the other end of that, there is definitely a concern for the parent that has that child that walks past that could possibly be influenced by that particular entity. So I'm on the other end of seeing those kids on the other side of that pain. So I definitely resonate with the concerns of a parent of a child that can find themselves addicted. I like business, but I don't necessarily like the business of induced pain on themselves. So I appreciate your sharing with us. And as Brandy had said, the respectful manner, and plus you're here, you love your town. But please be mindful and continue to be mindful of the people that you do serve, as I am.
I am, and thank you for your comments. But, you know, I come at it from a point that cannabis in the state is run by the LLCC, and a lot like liquor. And we don't ask liquor stores to hide. And the thing is, I think having a cannabis store there, even if the child sees it, it gives an opportunity for parenting. For parents to say whatever they would about a liquor store, whatever they would about a cannabis dispensary, it should be the same thing. And I think it provides an opportunity for dialogue within the family.
True. A teaching moment.
A teaching moment.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when I had to explain liquor stores to my kids and why they weren't allowed to go in them. So,
right.
And what the ramifications of drinking as a teenager would be, and so on. So, you know, I understand what you're saying, respect the opinion of people in the town, but I think that those are kind of outmoded or you know, harken back to a time when marijuana was something quiet and under the table. Now it's legitimized, and we've got to deal with that.
True. Point taken.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to speak? I think we were just kind of going at it as we, if someone wants to say something, they've been speaking up. Isn't it? Oh, Brandy?
I just, this is totally off topic, but I thought since we have people here, I might mention it. Real quick, he didn't mention it in our regular meeting, but if anybody wants to help over the next couple of weeks, please contact me, because we're going to be cleaning up people's yards and helping them prepare for the summer, those that are in need and really need the help. And I know like we're having some flashback right now of the fires. But ECW is there for the town, and we need volunteers really bad. So I just wanted to make mention of that before we were done.
Yep,
That's
no
it.
worries. So besides helping volunteer to clean up, which you can contact us if you need to at Estacada Community Watch, to our webpage. There's a contact us if you aren't a member already. You can reach us through Facebook or something to let us know if you want to volunteer. But outside that, focusing back on the marijuana conversation, to kind of speak to some of the things you had said, when it comes down to making the rules, there are still limitations on what we can and can't do. Obviously, we can't go below what the state requirements are. Are you blind over there? All right. We can't go below what the state limitations are, and there are limitations on how we can make restrictions. And to the full extent of those, I don't know. And I know that we started looking at what it would look like if things were repealed and what that would open up. And so based upon some of the changes that would have to come in to be made, it would open up a large sector of the downtown area for those to come in. So I don't know if there's other ways that the city workers have looked to try to put things in place to make changes to that. But to kind of what you're speaking of, like just allowing one in one place or something, there's not really an easy way to do that based upon how the city's set up and how the rules are defined. So, but yeah. But
Any of those 1,000-foot barriers, because if they were to do that, due to the area of Estacada being so small, the downtown area, you would only get maybe 3, do you think, Kim? I don't even dispensaries.
Well,
tops,
I
because
know
they have to be 1,000 feet apart as well. Like, I think Lincoln Cities has to be different, because I know what you were talking about, where they're just
They're everywhere.
And even in Portland, they seem like it's like that. Like, we joke all the time when we're driving by that they're really pushing that 1,000 foot, because there's no way. But with Estacada being so small, I think that you would maybe get 3 max, especially with the churches and the schools.
That's a lot for a small town.
Perhaps you should look at towns like Rhododendron and Damascus that have just one and see what their requirements are.
And I understand that. Like I said, the state requirements are what we can't go below. So whatever those are, those have to stay in effect. there are some additional requirements that were put in place, and those can be repealed back to whatever the state, to whatever they need to be. But I don't know the older ones that I've mentioned earlier are the ones that are already in effect. So when you asked if we're going to mimic, I'm trying not to speak as a city councilor. I'm trying to speak as a community. So if the city council, I'm going to put that in a very specific phrasing, if the city council chooses to make a change, when you ask if they're going to mimic something on the that's from another town, I'm kind of confused on that because they're already here.
Right, but they may have a way of zoning that you're not aware of that made it so that there was only one dispensary in their community.
Oh, you're saying to change the zoning or something like that. And that might be an option too. That's something we'd have to look at. I know that there was a rezoning recently, and that was a question I did ask during the previous city council meeting. Sorry, that was a question that was asked. I apologize. There was a question that was asked during the, it's really hard not to separate that out, but I'm trying my best. There was a question that was asked and during that conversation, and the answer was kind of vague in response to it. So there may or may not be a way to do it. And those are questions that are probably going to come up when the city council resumes talking further about it. And these are questions that, like when I send this video out to them or post it online for them to see, that these are questions that might get spurred during that conversation. So, but I think that the heart that at least I've heard much in the room, and it's not fully everybody in the room, so I want to be clear that there's some counter to that too, is not to have it in the downtown core. At least, Main Street, Broadway, that type of area, anywhere where it's going to be right in front of kids, I think is kind of the core that we kind of got across there. But you have brought across that you do want a business competitive advantage to be able to put something in there where it makes sense. And I completely understand that as well. So did I summarize that up pretty well? I mean, I know your feeling was more, it didn't really matter if it was out in the downtown areas. Am I getting that right? Or I don't want to paraphrase you wrong. Yeah, you kind of, that's kind of, there's no restriction basically.
Well, in the downtown area somewhere in Estacada's town proper, not out there, because it's just not financially viable outside of this area. And as Kim was saying, whoever would lease would have to own their property outright. So I don't know how many businesses, buildings here in Estacada proper would fit that criteria. So that severely limits, I would think, the number of potential places that a place could go.
And that's definitely something I didn't know before this meeting. So like I said, I appreciate you sharing that because that's good information to have. So is there any other information to share, to questions that need to be asked? We have experts in the room. So if there's anything that's on your mind you're not sure about that you want to get asked now, I would say ask them. So.
I will add that anything leaving a dispensary has a label that is then traceable back to the date. If the city didn't want to add something, like right now with our cannabis tracking system in Portland, we don't have to take any of the customer information. You obviously have to clear them, make sure they're of age. There's a tracking system that keeps track of how much they've purchased, but we don't specifically keep track of names and their personal information. But if the city were to do that and say a minor were to come up with some cannabis and it was in one of those containers, you would be able to track exactly where it came from, who was the person doing the distribution and all of that.
That's some good information. So just to clarify what you said, because in case it didn't make it onto the audio, the cannabis basically has a tracking system that if a youth got a hold of it, if the canisters with it can be tracked back to that particular dispensary.
With us not taking the personal information, you would, because of the cameras, be able to see the date and see the actual person.
Okay, so you can see the date and the person who sold it. Gotcha.
Yeah, I got a question for you guys. How big is your dispensary?
Question is, how big is the dispensary?
It's 1,500, 1,800 square feet, just the actual floor plan for customers to walk on. If you add in the safe room, we're not at least 2,000.
Okay, so the question what was asked from the audience was, how big is it? Our resident experts in the audience, we're going to keep it anonymous there for you, how big their dispensary was. And the answer was about 2,000 square feet with a safe room in the back, but about 1,500 square feet for kind of the retail area. So.
And we have to have surveillance not only in the building, but also every single entry and exit point, meaning the parking lot completely covered. So there would never be a situation where someone were to buy cannabis, give it away, and we weren't seeing it.
So on your property in your area, you have to have full surveillance around your building in your parking area. I think you mentioned steel doors area somewhere in vaults for a night.
So in other words, it's about 10 times more than a liquor store or anything like that.
It's about 10 times more than a liquor store is the other comment. So I'm just trying to get it on here for the records people. So if you wonder why I'm repeating everything. All right. So is there any other questions or anything else that wanted to, I know you're getting blind. I feel bad for you. I keep seeing you dodging the light. Yeah. Okay. Did we have anything else or any other questions we want to put on here before we close out the meeting? Is there anyone online, Brandy, that may have popped up with a question, raised a hand or joined or anything? Okay. Oh. All right.
Back I've been coming through this town since 75, going fishing up the Upper Platte and stuff like that. Safari Club, I remember when this town was blessed at the gambling. You know, they've gone through a lot of issues, the pine farm, bikers. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in this town, some bad, some very good. What I really loved about it is in the 20 years that I've been here, it's really gone crazy good. Crazy good. And we gotta keep up. That's all it's doing.
So just to summarize, in case that wasn't on there, gentleman back here said he's been coming through town since about 75, lived here for 20 plus years. And he said some bad things and some good things, but. And I'm just, yeah. Yeah, and over his time, he's seen some good things and bad things, and you're saying you've seen a lot of good things right now, right?
This town has grown so much. Not only population wise, but it's cleaned up so well. I'm proud of this here.
Thanks.
I am. I'm working in the community now. I have a
That's good.
coffee shop for 30 years in Blackwood. You know, but since I moved here, I've seen everything grow and grow right. Grow right. And I'm glad you're doing it. I'm just saying, you know, we just gotta go with the time straight. And with the security of marijuana, there's always gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
With the security going on right now, there's no kid gonna go in there and, you know, grab anything or some guy, you know. It's just not gonna happen. The odds are even more difficult than them trying to get whiskey or anything like that. So, I think this is a great thing.
One second, Christy. So I'm hoping that recorded all that because that's, you know, I can't repeat all that one. I can't say it like you did. You had a good way of saying
I
it.
think that anybody that lived here for over 20 years knows. You know, so.
Definitely. I grew up between Sandy and this area for most of my life, so I hear you.
That I'm not lying.
So it's a good area. That's why I'm here for a reason. I love this town.
Just,
But-
is this meeting tonight the only subject marijuana?
If you have another subject, we can switch over to another subject if you like, but that was the primary focus of this meeting was the marijuana. So what we'll do is if you want to switch subjects, we'll go ahead and once we get, if everybody feel like they've got their words out, we'll cut that subject off and switch to a new subject. Christy, did you have something to say?
I just wanted to say, I respect your industry. I respect your farm. I respect all of that. I know this isn't going to happen overnight. I want it to get done the proper way the first time, as opposed to coming back in 10 years and we did it wrong. You know, and that's
that weighs heavy on me. We need to make sure it is done right the first time. And make sure that we have everything together, you know? We don't want to run into it head on and.
I 100% agree, because I think it should be like, if the city allows it or changes the ordinance or rule, it should be in collaboration. Like, it should be a partnership. It should be like a community.
Absolutely, and the community, I mean, you're serving our community. And we have to be able to come together as a community and stand together, united, as opposed to, you know, fighting forces. And that's why I said we've got to be able, you have to, this city has to do it properly.
I think basically what we're trying to say is we need to come to a community-based compromise where everybody's kind of on board with it. Otherwise, it's going to be another divisional piece in the community. If it's not a community-based type of compromise somewhere, and that's, I think.
I 100% agree. And if it was going to be my business, I would only do it that way. Because I feel like I have something I would want to serve. If it couldn't be of service, I would rather not do it.
I agree that the city has to be behind it. I mean, there's always going to be some naysayers, but for the most part, you need a buy-in from the community. As far as, you know, making sure it's done right, I used the word mimic earlier, but there are countless communities, both liberal and conservative in this state. I'm sure that you could look at one and say, aha, they dialed it down just the way we want it, you know, and rather than reinventing the wheel.
And I know that it's common for small towns to look at other, you know, pioneers in there to try to build their own rules and policies that they, you know, when the city council brought in the no nudity law to Estacada recently, that was based off of Portland's no nudity law. So it's a common thing to use. Right. So
I'm very grateful that someone like Kim is trying to spearhead the dispensary here in Estacada. Growing up here, it would kill me to see a big dog like Kira or Roam or Nectar, any of those chain dispensaries come in, get in here, knowing that they're not going to employ people from Estacada, knowing they're not going to try to help Estacada's community and bring and keep the money here to the degree that I know that Kim would. That's something we see all the time in the cannabis industry, is constantly the mom and pops are getting bought out by the larger, bigger players in the industry, and it scares us to see cannabis going that direction because it creates the opportunity for big tobacco to come in, and then you're getting GMO cannabis and you're not getting actual medicine. So having somebody whose heart is in Estacada is very important. And like Kim was saying,
I see you, Tony.
if someone like her doesn't get the opportunity down the line as legalization becomes a federal thing, someone else will have the money to come in and take advantage of the situation.
Tony?
Actually, that's my only concern, is that someone who's invested in the community would be mindful of the mental and as well as the physical health of the community.
All right. Anyone else on the subject of marijuana for this town hall that we'd like to bring back up?
Just real quick, and I'd like to direct it back here. I'm on your guys' team. Okay.
We're all on the same team.
I'm like, I have a lot of medical problems, and I'm not ashamed to say I use CBD products and occasionally THC because my physician will not prescribe enough medication, and I get tired of popping pain pills that are beginning to not work for me. I would be on board with this as a hometown thing, you know, and knowing more about the types of security. I'm happy about that because I can look back 20 years ago when my stepchildren were driving up to the chicken ranch to get pot and having mountain parties. And I was more afraid that they weren't going to get home than if I went down to the dispensary and said, hey, you're at home here. but that's everybody's opinion, I mean, that's my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. But I would rather see a home run based, just not these big chain things. I mean, it's not just Lincoln City. You go through Seaside. Gosh, we went to Seaside, even down in, where'd we go? Bandon. It's like,
Cannon Beach.
it seemed like it was just boom, 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 but there was a lot of the same names. So, yeah, that just kind of.
What I really love about this is basically we're fine tuning everything. Get on board where everybody has an agreement.
Yeah.
I love this lady dearly. She, well, okay, I work for her. But I've never, I mean, I lived in a body shop most of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm retired and everything like that, and I needed something to do. And, and she's treated me, she works hard to do this right. Right. And it's amazing. And she wants so much for the community. She's given so much. I've been with her 2 years, almost 2 years, and her gardens are just beautiful.
Well, if we get this right as a community, I would rather see that than a porno spot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that took a twist. So, just,
Can I say something real quick?
I'm just going to kind of keep us focused here because I do know it sounds like we do have another subject we want to bring up. So, kind of driving us home here, hopefully.
I just wanted to say one thing.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think the biggest thing that people in our town are concerned about is the downtown core. I mean, if there's a way to do a compromise where it's not in the downtown core, I think everybody would probably be on board. Especially if they got a chance to talk to you and hear from you and
I think that when I can and if I can disclose the location, I think that everybody would be fine with it. I'm not going to say everybody.
Yeah, and like I said, I would look at.
85% of people would probably be going, yeah, that's a no.
Yeah, you can always, there is always a possibility to directly contact the city in a private email to the council.
I'm inviting you guys out. That's the only way we're gonna do this. I tried going to City Hall and besides we're in a pandemic and you guys are closed.
No, yes, and you can email it to them, but yeah, that's, I get the concern, so.
Yeah, Joel's the most active one.
Yeah.
He's out in the community.
Definitely. So, and that's something I may be willing to come have a conversation with you so I can see what your plan is and see if it might work or not. So, and I do understand confidentiality on that. So, I see your hand come up there, Christy.
Can I get your card? Can we exchange numbers?
Yes.
Okay. I would love to come out
Anytime.
Yeah.
We'll probably recruit you to pick vegetables on the way or do meetings.
I'm gonna direct you to do that after the meeting here to Christy. So, is there anything else for the marijuana conversation? Going once, going twice. Okay, so I'm going to close up the marijuana side of the things, and it sounds like we had another option, another discussion you wanted to bring up. But you can come on up if you like. Come on and present your cause.
Last year, we had fires, and they were out of control. The smoke, the governor gave an edict to shut this place down. PGE shut the power off. That shut down the wells. That shut down the ability to put out a fire. No replay this year. Right now along the riverbank, there's bundles of kindling in large amounts waiting for a match. I want to know, my question is, I got a hillside up there that can be lit off. And I will tell you this, because it was reported, whether you stand in a political zone or not, that every one of those fires last year was man-made. No BS. no make-believe. This community needs to be aware of what's going on right now, because today there was a heat warning. And my wife told me that there was a fire, a brush fire in the backside off Redland Road somewhere.
It's near Oregon City.
Oregon City, okay.
Yeah.
So my concern as a property owner, homeowner, is the preparation. And last year I heard this from the official people when we fought the fires with what we had. We had generators, we lit off the well, we had tankers, small tankers, 300 gallon. We had cubes, the whole place came together, but they shut this town down. That was not right. And people lost their homes. They lost their valuables. They lost their shops because they shut the power off. And I'm not promoting city water. We don't want city water. We want the ability to fight a fire. And they've got all kinds of reasons, so, excuse me, but when we were fighting a fire and we were alongside the road and a forestry department person came up and commanded us to leave. And I said, I'm gonna put this fire out before it jumps the road. We had 300 foot of hose. We had 500 gallons and a generator running the pump. And the person said, management has it under control. And I said, management isn't going to put this fire out. There's a term that's used. Instead of putting out a fire, it's managing a fire. That's a wrong term, especially when you own property, you own animals, and you have a home. So just saying this from the last year's experience, when everybody in this community busted butt to get together to put out whatever they could to save their own property. And I can see all these burn piles sitting out there right now. PGE is the one that cut them down. Love PGE, not against anybody. You know, happy doodle, have a lovely life. But they're sitting out there as tinder boxes, waiting for a match. Just be aware of that, that's all. I don't know where this rolls out with the fire department. Nobody's to blame, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's a lot of brush out there and the heat season is starting. So
Yeah, it started
that's my
real
comment.
early.
It's just an awareness comment. Thank you.
I'm gonna see.
Did you say you had something to say, Brandy?
Yeah, I did.
Good. Do you want to come up here or do you want to
No,
sit?
I'll sit here. It's too hard for me to walk up those
That's fine.
stairs. I think we're all kind of feeling that right now. I know today was kind of like finding out about the fire was like a huge shock, but also not a surprise. And I too have noticed just tons of branches down everywhere from the ice storms, and they just have left them there. And it's really, really scary. I do know, I'm really proud of our town right now because they're coming together and supporting our new fire department, rebuilding itself. They're all people in our town that love our town and would protect our town because that's what we do. I mean, even not having our own fire department last year, we stepped up and a lot of you fought the fires. We had the relief center and we came together. And I really I think that's one of the things that we've been pushing so hard with ECW is we need to stop dividing and just be there for each other like we did during those fires and continue to do that. I know that we are going to start some planning to kind of get prepared to see what we need to do to prep just in case. Because I mean, you know, it's going to be a bad fire season, I think.
Well, I think just to clarify what Brandy is saying on that one, the ECW is already starting to put planning together in case something should happen to around the area again. We'll have hopefully have some planned resources and responses, even probably more organized than what we did with the relief center. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, last time it took us a while. This time we would have it up in minutes. So that's one positive thing. And I do know like having our own fire department, yes, they're still training, but they care a whole lot about this town because they're part of this town.
I think there's like 35 or 40.
There's a lot, and they're
volunteers.
working really hard. So that makes me feel a little bit better,
And,
but
and
yeah.
they're being very, very interactive with the community, constantly sharing what the training that they're doing, so people can be well aware of what's going on. But I think there's a really good point that he said is that the fire response, ECW response, that's the key word is response. We don't want to have to respond to a fire. You got to prevent the fire from happening, because that's going to be being responsible with what you do on your land. That's going to be, if it's a hot, dry out, you don't be having fires. Don't be lighting fireworks off in the middle of a heat wave. Chainsawing, things like that. That's all things that have started fires in the past. So just be aware. I'm not saying shut down and don't do anything. You still have to manage your land. I see it, Tony. I'll get you in a minute. But it's being responsible with what you have is what's important, because it's, you're responsible for your land, and it only takes a small spark to get that going. And we're already on high alert. We see a little smoke coming out. I mean, I see a little smoke coming across the way when I drive by the bluff, and I'm staring at that thing as far as I can to see, is it a fire? Is it is it a controlled fire? Is it not a controlled fire? Because, for weeks, that's all I saw was this, smoke right in front of me, but this before and after, and it does set that off. So
Also, it's a good opportunity to mention that part of our cleanup is cleaning up that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to help volunteer to help us do that.
Definitely. Tony.
Actually, Brandy stole it. But I live right in the community, right within city limits here. And having us have PTSD, even when we think there's a fire close by, from what we went through last year. But it goes back to, no matter what side of the political aisle we're on, we still need to look out for each other. See something, say something, get information out, look out for your neighbor, because you're right. We are out here, and there is a fire department who's being trained in-house. This is how important this is, because they know what the fire dangers look like in this area. So I love what you said in bringing that up and bringing that.
Politics are politics. Don't let politics affect your humanity. It means that people are people. They no matter what you believe and do, we're still, we still reserve love and respect to each other, and that's my core value, and that's what I believe. We should, as just humans, is to treat each other that way. I didn't miss you there, Mike. But it's leave the politics at home when you're dealing with that, and you're trying to just be there for people. It's there's a time and a place for that, but we seem to let those type of things run what we do everywhere we do, and affect how we treat people. So, Christy, I'm gonna let Mike go, and then he had his hand up earlier, and then I'll let you go next. Mike.
It was me, sorry.
Question, the equipment we have in Estacada, are we gonna be doing okay in case we have another situation?
So the equipment that was in
We'd be backed up in Clackamas, but meeting directly on our own.
Yeah, so the equipment that was here in Estacada, I believe every engine and some of the equipment here belonged to Estacada. So I think we have a tender and a couple other things, but I don't know exactly. I mean, I'm not with the department, but I know that they told me during the time that we have a couple of our own engines and a water tender, and I think maybe a wildland brush rig, I believe, but don't quote me on that, because I'm not with them, so I don't fully know that for a fact. But I do know we got a bunch of our own equipment, so I think we'd be good for a immediate response and kind of stuff in town. But I see you there, but let me get to Christy next. So yeah, I don't know how good I badly answered your question, but
I'm not dissing the Clackamas Fire Department, but it's just I know someone who's in the Estacada Fire Department, especially someone who lives here, is going to think a little bit differently.
yeah, I mean, this is their home. This is where everything's at. It's no matter what you do, and the Clackamas Fire Department has some really good guys in there, and they care. But you never care more about a place than your own home. You're always going to go that extra little bit, because it could be your house on the line, it could be your family's or your friend's house on the line. You're going to go that extra little bit just because it has that extra personal touch to it. And it's not against anything to those guys that don't live here. It's just the reality. It's the way you always go that little bit farther. So, Christy.
What I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. I came in late.
Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. So what I was gonna say is, I too noticed all the piles of branches and logs and one thing that I thought of is getting a good majority of the community together to pick up those logs and branches and maybe on a cool day, we could cut them up, you know, take them to our elderly that don't have a lot of access to firewood for their wood stoves, which would do two things. It would take care of the heat issue for our elderly that is also, you know, sometimes, like I have neighbors that they don't have firewood all the time. I have a fire pit, I'll give them some of my wood. So it takes care of them, but it also cleans up. And we have to, as a community, we have to be responsible for, you know, keeping our stuff clean. And I think that could potentially, like, if we could get enough volunteers together, you know, I'm not sure if you would be interested in, you know, donating a few hours to go pick up wood and take it to an elderly person, but I know I would.
Volunteers are the big problem. 'Cause
Yeah,
we
it's always
really
hard to
need
get the volunteers. But I do want to say this, while the ECW arranges volunteer events to do things, we're not the only ones in town that need to arrange to do something. Everybody has the ability to get family and friends and go out and just do something for the community, do something good for somebody, take a meal train to somebody, go buy turkey shawarma on Thanksgiving. The things that we do, we just give an avenue for it, but we're not the only ones that could do something like that. The whole purpose of ECW is to motivate the community and the people around us to take up action and do that themselves. So when I first started ECW, my end goal, my happy day when I see it all come together is when I don't need to arrange an event because the community, everybody else is already doing it themselves. They're already out there doing it, so I just join in with them and do what they're doing. So that would be ECW meeting its goals, is by getting the community to do everything that we're doing. So I think you had something back here too.
I just had a question. I actually was a wildland firefighter in Southern Oregon for a year or so, and I was just kind of curious how I might even join the volunteer firefighting out here. Is that
the best thing to do is contact the Estacada Fire Department and talk to them. You have to get your red card because they do structure and wildland. I don't think they only do red card. I was also a red card for a while too, so I fought out there with Patrick. So, who were you with out there in Central?
I was with a company called, they were out of Salem. It was a fire team out of Salem. Oh goodness, I can't even grasp the name right now. It was just, but we fought a lot in Southern Oregon, like Gold Hill, Medford.
I don't even remember I fought a couple fires up there, and I don't even remember what they were. What I remember is, it still shocked me today. I remember being 10 feet off the fire line, just inside the black, taking a nap. But there's about 10 of us taking a nap while someone was on fire watch. Because this is kind of creeping along, you know. Sometimes on those type of things, it's so wide and it's so limited, and you're up there with only a little bit of water, so you dig your fire line and you're gonna wait for it to creep up to the fire line and hopefully put itself out. So, but anyways, anything? Yeah, I'll talk to the fire department. That's your best bet. So, anything else along the fires? I mean, definitely be prepared for it. Keep on the news. Oh, this is something I can encourage the community to do. For example, today it was great. People put out that there was a fire. They got the information out, but they didn't put out very clearly about where it was and the deeper information. So there's a sudden panic, and like our phones blew up suddenly.
Yep.
And when I went across the line, and so I had to make a phone call to the chief to find out what was going on, so I could get it out there and calm the panic and let people know, no, it's out by Oregon City. It's not Redland down the road. So it's really good, anyone watching this, and definitely share it to everybody you know, please. If you're going to put information out like that, it's good, but just make sure you try to be as detailed oriented as possible, so that way people know if it's affecting us immediately or if it's something that, hey, it's out of ways, just so you know. So it's especially when the fires, because we're all really jumpy to that. So what's that?
She had more to
Oh,
say.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Christy. Keep going.
So,
Throw something at me next time.
the other thing I was gonna say is the property owners here, like my mom, we own property here. You own property. If your property is too big, or you have something
Thank you for coming.
huge that needs to be addressed and you can't do it by yourself, reach out to us. You know, like, that's what we do, you know, like, reach out and say, hey, you know, I've got 5 acres of grass that I need to go mow, but I don't have the ability to do it right now. You know, we'll do our best to get a group together, whether we're out there with size or not, you know, because it's too hot, but we'll help.
And
In
we,
one way or another, we can try to figure it out together as a community.
we also have access to teenagers.
And yeah, we have access to teenagers.
We
so it's not
have
just my
groups
own
that
self.
have said if we do something to let us know, let them know, and they will give us teenagers.
Yeah.
Junior firefighters. Hey, I got a lot of scissors. We can cut fields. So, all right. Excellent.
Anyways, that's what I just wanted to say is, you know, if there is something that you need help with, don't be shy, don't be ashamed, reach out to us. You know, I mean, I've had to reach out and ask for help. And I live on Lakeshore, you know, we own a small little chunk of property on Lakeshore. And I've still had to reach out because I go 24/7.
Yep.
So.
All right. Anyone else have anything else, or are you still going? All right. Well, if no one else has anything else, then I'm going to go ahead and close the town hall meeting. I appreciate everybody for coming out, and I will post this online as soon as possible. By all means, please share it when you do see it online. You can find it on the Estacada Community Watch page. Thanks, guys.